Good morning. Welcome to my new video blog that I'm excited about called Morning Roll Call with me, Dar'shun and Kendrick. Today is October the 2nd, and I'm glad that you've joined me. A little bit about me before we get started. I'm a business attorney and the owner of Kendrick Law Practice, a legislator in the Georgia House of Representatives, a lifelong learner and professor at Oglethorpe University, and now I'm proud to announce I'm an online video blogger and commentator on all things business and politics. Now, I wouldn't be a good lawyer if I didn't have a disclaimer, which is that my views are my views and are not endorsed by any organization or any business or any political candidate. So I'll go ahead and get started. Now, we have a great lineup for you this morning. We are going to talk about Uber and all the problems that they have in Fulton County Court. I want to mention a little bit about ISIS, not much. I'm going to talk about state politics and the last day to register and what you can do to register for that. And also a viewer's choice section of this broadcast, which is going to be my proposed legislation for the upcoming 2015 Georgia General Assembly session. So thank you again for joining, and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to discuss is Uber, which is the newest way for individuals to get around the city or the state. There's an Uber station that is in Atlanta. Now, there is a suit that has been filed in Fulton County Superior Court, and a group of Atlanta taxi drivers are actually suing Uber and 22 specific Uber drivers. Now, I haven't had the pleasure of going down to the courthouse and actually reading the details of this case, but the complaint names 13 plaintiffs, or the complaint has 13 plaintiffs. All of them are taxi drivers, as reported by the Atlanta Business Chronicle. And the group's lawyer, Bill Pennell, says that this lawsuit concentrates on the medallions or CPNCs issued by the city of Atlanta and their loss in value due to Uber's operation just in the city limits, and that there's violations of Georgia law, and Atlanta's taxi ordinances are at the center of the lawsuit. And this reminds me a little bit of LegalZoom. Of course, there was an Uber bill that we had in the House of Representatives, as well as a LegalZoom bill, which is the online way that individuals can download legal documents. And this reminds me similar to that. Listen, I'm a business owner. I believe in innovation. I believe in disruptive conduct for businesses. That's how we spur growth and economic development and how we get new technologies and new ideas. So I love disruptions, things that push the envelope. But if you're going to be a disruptive business, you still have to follow the laws. Yes, you still have to go through the same procedures as everyone else. And I know there is some legal maneuvering to get around, or to try to get around doing what it is that you need to do if you are a particular business that is in a particular industry. So Uber, follow the laws. I'm not going to make any comments about a pending case. But if the allegations are true, then Uber, in order to sustain itself in Georgia, needs to make sure that it is following the same laws and regulations as Atlanta taxi drivers. And I know that that will be an issue that I will be watching very, very closely. Next, I want to move on to ISIS, which has been in the national news. And of course, we have launched attacks. They have been getting very, very close to the country of Turkey, which I had an opportunity to visit this summer. But what I will say about that is very simply, we launched attacks. This is a story for another day as it's continuing to develop. But I hope that everyone will be able to follow what is going on, because it does affect national security, it does affect budgets, it does affect many things. So I hope that everybody will be able to take note of what is going on in the world of ISIS and make sure that you are prepared for anything that we need to do as a country. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Next, I want to move on to state politics. And that is, as you know, we have a gubernatorial race that is coming up in November, as well as a Senate race, as well as all people that are on the statewide ticket are going to be up for re-election, all the way from the governor and Senate, all the way to our public service commissioners. And the last day to register to vote is Monday, October the 6th, to be eligible to vote in the November 4th general election in Georgia. And to register to vote, there's a few requirements. The first is you must be a U.S. citizen. The second is a legal resident of Georgia, to vote. And then last, you must be 18 years old by election day. So for those of you that are 17 years years old and think that you can't register to vote until you're 18. As long as you're 18 by October 6th, you can register to vote. That's simple enough. Now, what you can do to make sure that you get registered so you can vote in these important elections is you can go online to register now. And you'll see that I have on this YouTube video a link that you can copy and paste into your browser to make sure that you are able to register to vote online. And you can also download the Georgia Votes apps, which I think is fascinating. So if you have an iPhone or you have an Android, make sure that you go to the store and you download the Georgia Votes app, and you'll be able to register online there as well. If you don't have access to these technologies, you still have no excuse. You can go to a public library. You can also go to a government office or a school and pick up a physical application. Just make sure that you drop it in the mail that is postmarked by October 6th, okay? Well, we have a lot of great statewide Democratic candidates that are running, and since I'm a Democrat and this is not a news broadcast per se, I'm allowed to state my opinion of who I'm supporting. Of course, I'm supporting the Democratic ticket, so I'm going to run down the list to make sure that you know who is running on the Democratic ticket for the statewide general election candidates. First, we have Georgia governor, and the candidate of choice is Jason Carter, who is the son of Jimmy Carter, and whom I have the pleasure of serving with in the Georgia legislature. Next, we have for U.S. Senator Michelle Nunn. For lieutenant governor, we have Connie Stokes. For attorney general, we have Greg Heck. For commissioner of insurance, we have Liz Johnson. For Georgia Commissioner of Labor, we have Miss Robin Shipp. For Georgia Public Service Commissioner District 4, we have Daniel Blackman. For Georgia Secretary of State, we have my friend Doreen Carter. For Georgia Commissioner of Agriculture, we have Christopher Irvin. And for school superintendent, we have Valerie Wilson. So make sure you take a note of those individuals and get involved in the process. It's going to be very, very important that everybody go out and vote. Register to vote, then actually go out and vote. So make sure that you know that your civic duty is a two-step process. You have to register to vote and get out and vote. So make sure you go ahead and vote if you get out to vote if you haven't already done that. October 13th, I believe, early voting starts, so you can start to vote starting October 13th. But the first step is to make sure that you get registered. Remember, the deadline is October the 6th, and there is no excuse for making sure that you don't register. It's super easy. Okay, great. So we are done with that portion of the short segment that I have. Next, we're going to go to the viewer's choice. Now, usually I allow people to give me suggestions about what they want me to comment on, or maybe there's a particular activity or thing that people can suggest that I give my personal comments or promote. But since this is the first one, and since I am excited to announce my legislative agenda for the 2015 Georgia General Assembly session, that is what I'm going to do at this very, very moment. Okay, so I have three things that I plan on working on during the 2015 Georgia General Assembly session. The first one is that I want to do a slight modification to the HOPE calculation. I'm calling it the HOPE Booster Bill. And this was suggested by a constituent in my district. And what it does in a nutshell, without getting into the math, is it will allow the Georgia Finance Commission to give more credits for students that make A's in advanced level classes. So that means international baccalaureate classes, that means AP classes, that means dual enrollment classes. Because right now, based on the calculation and based on the way that the statute is worded, the commission can only give up to a 4.0 on a 4.0 scale. And so individuals that make an A in these advanced courses, because of the way that is calculated and weighted, they get the same amount of credit towards HOPE as those that get B's in similar situated classes. So anyway, you'll learn a little bit more about that. I'm still going through legislative council and sort of drafting the language to make sure it does what I think it needs to do. So stay tuned for more information about that. I'm excited about providing the opportunity for our students who work so hard to get A's in those advanced level classes. So stay tuned for that. The second thing that I'm going to work on is a clarification of legitimization as it relates to child support. Now, I know we already have a commission, but I've heard from so many people on Facebook and Twitter and throughout my own district about the need to make sure that legitimization is a prerequisite before child support rights are actually issued. And so I'm not sure if that's going to be in the form of a bill or a resolution, or it might even be in the form of a public hearing, just so we can hear the stories as it relates to legitimization and child support. But stay tuned for that. I look forward to working on that as an issue that seems to be very much an issue in my district, and I imagine throughout the state of Georgia. And then the last thing that I'm working on, and I'm sure all of my DeKalb delegation members are working on, is to make sure that we come up with a comprehensive plan for citihoods and annexations all over DeKalb County. There's almost over 700,000 residents here, and so as somebody who represents a portion of DeKalb County, I want to make sure that we are able to come up with a plan that respects those that want to be a city as well as those that are left in unincorporated portions of it. So I know that there are talk of annexations and cities galore that are coming up, and I hope that those groups are working together to provide a resolution. But if not, I hope the delegation will be able to get ahead of any issues that might come up earlier in the session than later. Two things as it relates to DeKalb County for those of you that live in DeKalb County. The first one is that if you are interested in learning what the delegation is doing, we have meetings that are Mondays around 12 o'clock or upon adjournment, whichever one is first. We never know really what time that is, but 12 o'clock or upon adjournment. We don't have a room for those delegation meetings yet, but they usually are at the Coverdale Legislative Office building across the street from the Capitol. So they're open, so you can come and hear what the delegation is discussing. You can join the e-newsletter list where you can get a copy of the notes. We have a variety of guest speakers. As of today, I am the secretary, but we probably will be electing a new secretary. But in the meantime, you can email me at dkendrick@kendrickforgeorgia.com, and I'll add your name to that e-newsletter list. The next thing is the DeKalb House delegation will have a series of town halls meetings, 3 town hall meetings in the North, Middle, and South DeKalb, and they're all scheduled for the month of October. So make sure you go on my website and download that press release, and make sure you show up to at least one of them. Make sure that your concerns are heard. This is a great opportunity to get everybody from the delegation in the room and voice what are your concerns as it relates to DeKalb County or to statewide issues. So I hope to see a lot of you at those meetings, and I hope that you will provide your input and be able to be a change and a voice of whatever it is that you are trying to get done. Okay, well, if you want to be on my task force, the last thing that I have to say is that you can email me at darshun.kendrick@gmail.com if you want to be on the child support task force. I really think that this is an issue that needs to be looked at, and I am thankful that I am going to be able to do something, although I'm not sure what it is as it relates to this. So if you're interested in being on that task force, make sure you send me an email. Just put in the subject task force, and I'll make sure I add you to my listserv when we start to do some amazing things when the session starts. Okay, well, this is the wrap up. Just make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and this will be a weekly broadcast that I do, and I will post it Thursday morning. Please give me your feedback about the show, about the lighting, about the setting, about the topics, because I really want this YouTube channel to be tailored towards people who actually want to hear what I have to say and hear my comments. So if you could email me and let me know how I've done, I would greatly appreciate it. Yeah, no criticism is too tough if it makes me a better person. So I hope that you would do that. Additionally, make sure that you follow me on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn for written content and pictures. And I will post topics that I will discuss on Tuesday or Wednesday of each week, so that you will have an opportunity to email me or tweet me back or make a comment about what it is that I am going to discuss. And who knows, your comment or your tweet or your email may show up on the very end right here, because I really want to make this an interactive and a discussion type video blog. So thank you so much again for listening to me to this short video blog that I've started to do. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something, and I hope that you would give me comments about how to make it better, about the length of it, about how I can make the topics more interesting to you, if I can make it longer or shorter, anything like that. I hope that you will email me and allow me to make myself better. Well, this program has been sponsored by Kendrick Law Practice, which is my law firm. So I hope to see you for the next morning roll call show. And of course, remember to follow me on social media and email me for any comments or questions about this first video blog. And thank you for joining Morning Roll Call with Dar'shun and Kendrick.